Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Entertainment. Today I'm trying something a little bit different. I'm going to recap, react, and review, or re-3, Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 1, Dragonstone. Let's get into it. I just loved the previously on. Just the little bit of editing and the simplicity of just the little piano notes and everything. All this care that goes into something could just be like, and here's a clip, here's a clip, here's a clip. It just shows the amount of standards this show has. If this kind of care went into a previously on, it's not even the actual show. I'm really glad they had the bit with the Hound and the father and the daughter, because otherwise I would have just forgotten, and a lot of the whole emotion of that scene would have been a little lost on me. I did see on Twitter a couple days before that the cold open involved Arya, and then as soon as we saw, oh hey, it's Walder Frey, it's totally Arya disguised as Walder Frey, she's gonna kill all the Freys who are here, and hey, look, she does. Pretty predictable, I guess, but I'm really glad they had that right off the bat. You got it out of the way. She's free to do whatever she wants. Let's just close the storyline, keep going to the next thing, and yeah, her kill list is already higher than anyone else on the show, so go Arya. Only things of note in the opening credits was the elimination of Essos and including Old Town, which was pretty cool to see the little tower with the flames on top. The other thing I noticed is King's Landing still had the Baratheon stag. Shouldn't it be a lion? Or are they just hinting about what's to come? Oh yeah, there's still one more Baratheon out there. Watch out for him. He's coming for you. Then we got a creepy shot of the White Walkers coming out of this whole cloud of snow. That's probably the last we're going to see of them until the big high stakes whatever thing north of the wall that everyone's teasing comes about. I thought the giant whites were pretty cool, and I like the way the camera panned over one of them so you could see the blue eye. The blue-eyed giant named Macumba. Bran and Mira get to the wall. They go through the wall. Good, we're not dragging that out for like 5 episodes. It's fine. Ed's just like, okay, yeah, you saw me. It's a little creepy. Still don't know who you are, but that's okay. Come on in, come on in. And poor Ed. You just know the wall's gonna come down this season, and he's doing his best. Ed deserves a vacation. And then we're at the court of Winterfell, and here's where we get the tension between Jon and Sansa. If this is all the tension there's gonna be, I'm pretty okay with it. Now, I can see both sides of the argument. They're both right, and they're both wrong, so I'm not sure whose side I really come down on. Sansa was wrong to question Jon like that in front of everybody, but just giving the castles back to the families was a little, you could have given it to someone else. And hey, we found the young boy and the older girl who were used in a high-stakes scene in the north. That's it? Give me your sword and that's it? Okay, cool, we're done. Also, the wildlings are now the Night's Watch. They're heading up to Eastwatch by the Sea. I bet nothing's gonna happen there. And I think we're all in agreement that Lyanna Mormont is the queen of everything. So Jon and Sansa have a little chat, and I guess it goes okay, but you can really see where their priorities lie, and Sansa's still focused on the south because she knows Cersei and she thinks Cersei's a threat, and Jon's really focused on the north because he's seen the Night's King and he thinks he's a threat. And so these two are, okay, yeah, I guess there's more tension. And speaking of Cersei, we go down south to King's Landing, and she and Jaime are chilling in the map room. And you can just see that Cersei, she's dead on the inside. She's cold. She's devoid of love and emotion. And Jaime's in the background just trying to get her to feel something about Tommen or him or anything, and she's just like, nah, power, dynasty, we're gonna be awesome just like father wanted us to. And Jaime's like, okay, for who? There's nobody, you're killing everybody. And they also mentioned Tyrion and Daenerys and Jon, which is good because somehow they learned that information between last season and this season. Everyone's on the same page, it's okay. I just can't wait for all 3 of them to meet back up again, though that one's iffy. But Jaime and Tyrion, I definitely need to see Jaime and Tyrion reunite. So what's Cersei's grand plan to bring down everything? Oh, she just invited Euron Greyjoy, the only person in the Seven Kingdoms who's as crazy and power-hungry as she is. Of course, she thinks they'd make a great pair, and she invites him right in. He's like, I want to marry you. And she's like, no. But this makes more sense so that we can get the whole Euron gets her a gift thing. And so, what is Euron's gift going to be? Hey, you know the woman who killed your daughter? Here she is. What do you want to do with her? So I think that makes the most sense. A lot of people are talking about Dragonbinder and all that stuff. I'm like, people, we're in a different universe than the books. And then we go to Samwell Tarly, who is stuck doing things in Old Town. I can't get the image out of my head. It's awful. The montage went on a little long. I appreciated the rhythm of it, and I got the humor, but I think you could have done that in a shorter span than, well, it seemed like 5 minutes. It was probably like 2 or 3 minutes, but it seemed like it was way too long. We get it. His life sucks. He doesn't have access to the books he needs. I found Jim Broadbent. He's doing an autopsy. And they have a nice little conversation about the whole restricted area of the library, which I did see a couple people think that might have been a nod to Harry Potter and that whole scene with Slughorn and Tom Riddle. Can I get access to the restricted part of the library? Sure. What do you want it for? Definitely not making Horcruxes. And through their conversation, I guess Sam gets the idea, or the realization that he's not going to get permission. So he's going to have to do something. So he steals one of the Maester's keys. And then he goes into the restricted part of the library and he steals some books. Yeah, great idea, Sam. That's not going to catch up with you later. Back at Winterfell, Brienne is beating the crap out of Podrick. No surprise, but hey, at least he's getting his knight's training. And Tormund is trying to make some side glances at her and she's like, no, just no. Littlefinger is trying to whisper into Sansa's ear and she just shuts him down in the best way that I just started clapping as I was watching. No need to have the last word, Lord Baelish. I'll assume it was something clever. So I think this is really obviously there to show that Sansa she's not going to get fooled by him. She knows what he wants, what he's after, and all that stuff between her and Jon. Maybe some of that was a show for Littlefinger just to create a little bit of, oh yeah, I'm totally on your side. I hate him. I definitely want to be the queen. But inside she's just like, nope, I'm just biding my time. We need the veil, we need the veil, we need the veil. But I don't know what to do because this guy's driving me crazy. And that little preview of Jon just slamming him in the crypts. Yeah, no one's a fan of Littlefinger right now. And then we cut to Arya riding through the woods and she hears someone singing. Who is it? Ed Sheeran. As soon as I heard the singing, I'm like, oh, okay, that's Ed Sheeran. I don't listen to his music. I know what he looks like, and I knew he was going to be in Game of Thrones, but other than that, I was like, okay. There's a lot of people freaking out. They're like, oh, it took me out of the universe. I'm like, if you've actually seen Game of Thrones, you know there's people randomly singing like all the time, and the songs are pretty thematically important. So this one, like, Hands of Gold, Jamie? Anybody? And a lot of people are also criticizing the scene that like it was really unnecessary and what was the point of it? We're just pandering for Ed Sheeran to promote his album. I don't know. I actually found the scene kind of cute. As cute as Arya with a bunch of Lannister soldiers could be. I think the scene had two purposes. The first was to tell us where Arya's going. She wants to go south to kill the queen. I don't think that was her putting on a show. I think she was being completely serious, and if they tried to attack her, she would definitely attack them. But I like the way they all just started laughing, like, yeah, it's totally funny, I'm still gonna kill the queen. Now, that's not gonna happen. She's gonna run into a familiar face and like, oop, I gotta go that way. The second thing that happens is Arya hears their stories that, you know, King's Landing isn't that great. I just want to go home. I want to, you know, meet my little girl, and just the look on her face, like, I know what she was thinking there. She was thinking, I don't want to kill this man so another little girl won't have a father because I don't have a father. She is not going to kill these guys. She realizes that they're not in all of it. Like, she spared Frey's wife and all the servants because they weren't a part of the Red Wedding. She just killed all the people who were a part of the Red Wedding. So these random Lannister soldiers, they're just guys trying to live their lives. So she's not going to kill them. She's not a crazy, bloodthirsty, soulless, I don't know what you want to call her. And then we get to the Brotherhood with some of my favorite parts of the entire episode. Sandor makes a couple cracks about the Lord of Light, and they all stumble across a hut. This is the hut that a few seasons back, the Hound and Arya spent the night, ate some stew, and then the Hound stole their money. He predicted that they'd be dead come winter, and it turns out, yep, they were. Thoros tells Sandor to look into the flames. He really doesn't want to, but decides to give it a chance. And he looks, and what does he see? White Walkers at Eastwatch by the Sea. Oh, who would have thought? And it seems like Sandor is starting to believe just a little bit. Also, side note, Beric mentions that they met at a tournament. And even though he gets cut off before he can say what the tournament was, we can all pretty much guess at this point that it's the tourney at Harrenhal, because anybody who was anybody was there, and we are so getting that flashback this season. Later that night, Thoros wakes up when he hears someone outside. It turns out it's Sandor digging graves for the father and daughter. The guilt of what he did a few years back is just overwhelming him, and he tries to say a prayer over their grave, but he forgets the words because he really hasn't had much use for religion in the past, and so he just says a simple, "I'm sorry you're dead, you deserve better." Look at that character development, seriously. So Sam is reading some of his stolen books. He flips past a page with the cat's paw dagger on it, probably something talking about Valyrian steel, and he comes across a spot that says, "Hey, Dragonstone has a lot of dragon glass," just like Stannis told him a couple years back. And so he's like, I gotta tell Jon. So next episode, Jon's gonna get the message and run off to Dragonstone ASAP. So back to Sam when he's not cleaning out chamber pots or serving slop to the maesters. He's also taking care of the people who are in quarantine, whatever it's called. Now, to people who actually read the opening credits, it was not a surprise that it was Ser Jorah. What did get me was the jump scare, but who wouldn't be startled by a jump scare? I guess I'm glad it's confirmed that Jorah was that mysterious grayscale covered hand, because who else would it be? Finally, we get what the whole episode has been leading to. Dany gets home to Dragonstone. I like the way they kept it silent, and all you had to do was focus on her face, her emotions, her actions as she walked across the beach, up the steps, into the castle, into the throne room, and into the war room. She tears down one of Stannis' old banners and presumably feels right at home. She gives Tyrion a glance and says, "Shall we begin?" And begin you shall. And so what's going to happen next episode is totally going to be the naval battle between Euron's forces and Dany's forces. Euron's totally going to win because Dany needs to be knocked down a peg. He's going to capture Alaria and or Yara, most likely. And yeah, that's going to happen. Like they've been saying, the pace for the season is going to be really fast. So it makes sense that episode 2, sure, we're going to have a big battle. So we get a shot of a wolf, and part of me thinks that it's Nymeria, part of me is like, no, it's going to be a wolf that's going to attack her, and she'll be like, ooh, wolves, I'm totally going to get killed, because she's going to be surrounded by a pack of wolves. And then who steps out but Nymeria? Because the look on her face, what else could it be? It was not a look of, oh no, I'm going to die. It was a, I can't believe it's you. So that's reunion number 1 out of 4 that I'm looking forward to this season. The other 3, of course, are the Hound, Gendry, and Jon. Whether or not they all happen, I don't know, but hey, 1 out of 4 ain't bad. Overall, this was a really good setup episode because we got everyone's stories were hit, and even some of the secondary and tertiary ones were started to be hinted at, and I really enjoyed that. Of course, as always, I enjoyed the music, the subtlety that the different themes were just woven in there, like Dany's theme mixed with the main theme at the very end. It was good. It was so good. And one other really good thing I noticed, a lot of the leaks and the pictures and the clips that we've seen were in this episode. So there's a whole lot out there that we don't even know. So how'd you like this episode? Any Easter eggs I might have missed? Let me know in the comments below. I will be back next week with another re-3 of episode 2, Stormborn. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and remember, embrace your creative side. The North remembers.